Good evening and many thanks for joining us. I am Ansmane Soynyasi and this is QTV News coming to you live from our studios on Caraba Avenue. Here are the main news headlines. At a ceremony at the State House on Friday, President Adama Barrow decorated senior ranks of the Gambia Armed Forces. An ambitious rice project by the Republic of Korea's ambassador relayed to President Barrow brings hope of a major boost to Gambia's food security. 9 people have been arrested in a joint FSQA and police operation following a tip-off that they were using used car tires to smoke cowhide, locally called cow kanda, for sale for human consumption. And in international news, the ECOWAS Parliament hears that a lack of funding is a key hindrance to implementing the ECOWAS cross-border cooperation program. Also in international news, we have the latest from the ongoing Commonwealth Summit in Rwanda. Well, stay tuned as we bring you more on these and other stories. Here's the news in focus. At a ceremony at the State House on Friday, President Adama Barrow decorated senior ranks of the Gambia Armed Forces. The president congratulated the military officers and expressed appreciation for what he describes as a great service the army renders to the Gambia and their engagement in community service. Mahmoud Lamin Choi reports.
Promotional exam and approval from the Commander-in-Chief of the Gambia Armed Forces, 12 senior officers are being elevated from the rank of Major to Lieutenant Colonel and Commander, 2 of whom are abroad. President Adama Barrow, who is also Commander-in-Chief of the Gambia Armed Forces, presides over the decoration of the promoted officers. The promotion means greater responsibility vested in the officers, who are also expected to discharge their duties with resounding professionalism, patriotism, and sacrifice to serving the country. The Chief of Defence Staff, Major General Yakuba Drame, describes this year's promotional exam as the best in the history of the Gambia Armed Forces, which is merit-based.
Remember, once you've been promoted, we expect a lot in return from you. In terms of behavior, in terms of comportment, in terms of your professional upbringing, in terms of how you deal with your subordinates, and not only that, how you interact with people outside uniforms. To be more precise, your brothers and sisters outside uniform. Much is required of you today because you've climbed another platform that would determine how you progress in the military.
It is also reported that 106 members of the military sat the promotional exam, out of which 63 passed the exam and had their recommendation for promotion approved by the President. 22 lieutenants are promoted to the rank of captain and 29 captains elevated to the rank of major. The Minister of Defence, Serij Modunjai, reminds the promoted officers of the expectations awaiting them.
Let me remind the newly promoted officers, it has already been alluded by the Chief of Defence Staff, that to whom much is given, much more shall be expected. The nation is at a very crucial moment that demands your higher level of loyalty, courage, and professional competence that are needed to preserve peace and security and the defense of our hard-earned democracy. Finally, I heartily congratulate and share the joy of the moment with you and your families.
The Commander-in-Chief of the Gambia Armed Forces, President Adama Barrow, congratulates the promoted officers and expresses appreciation to the service of the Army and for going beyond their mandate by engaging in community service. The head of state urges the promoted officers to display loyalty and patriotism.
My government is very concerned about the welfare of the armed forces. To improve the conditions of service of our gallant officers and soldiers, we will maintain a close relationship with them and our partners to achieve this successfully. This will complement the review of the 1993 Terms and Conditions of Service for Officers and Soldiers, which Cabinet will review shortly.
The promotion ceremony continues on the same day at the Joint Officers Mess in Koto, where the rest of the promoted soldiers and officers will be decorated. The army is a security apparatus of the state mandated to defend and protect the territorial integrity of the country. Mohamed Lamin Choy, QTV News.
Well, congratulations to the promoted officers. Now, in a joint operation, the Gambia Police Force and the Food Safety and Quality Authority, FSQA, on Tuesday arrested 9 suspects for allegedly using used car tires to smoke cow hides, commonly called cow kanda. Ajibintu Drame spoke to food safety officials, and this is her report.
Following a tip-off by concerned people, the 9 suspects were arrested in a surprise raid in a deserted area around the abattoir at the Abuko Animal Market. One suspect escaped and is still at large and wanted by the police. Mary Johnson, Director of Regulatory Affairs and Enforcement at Food Safety and Quality Authority, says they are working with the police to ensure legal action is taken.
The actions that we'll be taking will be legal actions, and legal actions, to be specific, persecution. So there would be persecution so that this will deter other would-be violators of the provisions of the Act, to deter from such unscrupulous and hazardous and unconventional ways of preparing food.
H.N. Silva, the communications officer at FSQA, says the police effected arrests and charged the persons under food safety laws.
On Tuesday, we took the police. It was a joint operation to the scene, and on arrival at this deserted place, we found some persons actually using waste tires to smoke cow hides. Actually, this is how the practice is done.
Calling the practice sinful, H.N. Silva encourages the public to be vigilant about such practices. In addition, he implores the public to call the toll number 1299 if those suspect such unlawful activities are taking place.
The practice too is not in line with the food safety requirements. The environment is not recognized, it is not registered, it is not healthy, and as a result, like I said earlier, it is a deserted area. And surprisingly, it is not very far from the abattoir. I continue to imagine why Gambians who walk around that area don't report this activity to the Food Safety and Quality Authority.
Mr. Silva further explains what they are doing to stop such unhealthy and illegal practices.
We are actually conducting a surveillance, and we are not leaving any stone unturned. This is one of the illegal practices that we have uncovered, and we are keeping our eyes open. Like I said, the public is our eyes and ears, and we continue to leave our doors open.
Mary Johnson, the Director, Regulatory Affairs and Enforcement, encourages the public to have a culture of community policing, to reach out to the authorities, as food safety is everyone's business.
Since the arrest, all the procedures in terms of arranging them before the courts have been done, so we're just waiting on a date to arrange them before the courts.
Car tires contain a cocktail of chemicals such as fillers, stabilizers, pigments, oils, resins, and a variety of other organic compounds and heavy metals, which can leak into the environment. The black fumes from burning tires contain other harmful pollutants that linger in the air and can cause acute or chronic health hazards. Ajibintu Drame, QTV News.
Incredible. Now, President Adama Barrow on Friday received in audience the Ambassador of the Republic of Korea and his delegation at the State House. The meeting centered around a food security and skills development project the Republic of Korea plans to implement for the Gambia. The ambassador has presented to the government for testing a Korean rice variety that has a yield capacity of 7 tons per hectare. Moulami Choi reports.
The Republic of Korea's ambassador to the Gambia, who is based in Dakar with his delegation, is meeting President Adama Barrow to discuss an ambitious project of food security and skills development, which the ambassador had outlined to the president during his accreditation ceremony weeks ago. The ambassador had promised to introduce to the Gambia a high-yielding Korean rice variety which has been tested in Senegal and Guinea. The results of its adaptability to the ecosystem of these two countries have been promising. It is a promise made and kept. The Korean ambassador has introduced 1,000 kilograms of the Korean rice variety called Tonjil, which has a yield capacity of 7 tons per hectare. This is almost double the Gambia's highest yielding rice variety, which produces 4 tons per hectare. The Korean ambassador Kim Ji-jun explains how the rice variety can contribute to addressing the Gambia's food security.
This type of the Tongil type rice is resistance against a little bit salty land, and it means here we can improve here rice production minimum 1.5 or 2 times than the soil rice, and then it means, and then probably we can solve Gambians the food security problem.
Exactly.
The rice variety has been sent to the National Agricultural Research Institute to test its adaptability to our ecosystem in all the regions over a 90-day period. Testing of the rice variety is expected to begin next month. The Gambia has similar climatic conditions to Guinea and Senegal, and hopes are high that with the introduction of the rice project in the Gambia, it will provide a huge boost to the Gambia's rice production capacity. The Agriculture Minister, Dr. Demba Sabali, hails the food security project by the Republic of Korea.
So this is going to expand not only the productivity, which is 7 tons per hectare, but it is also going to expand the land availability. We don't have to now just see CRR or URR as the rice hub. It means rice cultivation is very possible in very challenging areas of the West Coast and the North Bank. So we are very grateful to the team from Korea, and we are very grateful to our brother here, Mohamed Jah, who is the consular in the Gambia, but also a very ardent food security campaigner. He is very serious about Gambia's food security, and his involvement in the project is very reassuring for us.
The Honorary Consul of the Republic of Korea, Mohamed Jah, emphasizes the importance of rice in food security and says he is pleased that the rice project is on track so far. He also reveals another highlight of the ambassador's discussions with the President.
So we have also discussed with the President, and they are prepared to come and open skill centers to train Gambians in different aspects of life, be it auto mechanic, be it masonry, carpentry. So we are also looking at that. So I'm really very happy to welcome the ambassador and his delegation again to Gambia, and hope that we will have a very successful mission.
Following the meeting with President Barrow, the ambassador's delegation visits the Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs, whose ministry is key to implementation of the food security project. The visit provides an opportunity to discuss the project with the minister and seek his support for it. The Finance Minister, Sidi Keta, describes the project as timely.
For your information, the whole government is fully supporting this new initiative, which is taking the public-private partnership approach to ensure that delivery is realized. Because delivering this project will really address one of the biggest challenges we have as a country, which is domestic food security.
Skills development and rice self-sufficiency are among the most pressing needs for the Gambia. In 2019, the value of rice import to the Gambia stood at $2.562 billion. Rice is a staple food for most of households in the Gambia, but local production has been significantly low. With the food security project, expectations are high that our journey towards rice self-sufficiency will be a smooth one. Mahmoud Lamin Choi, QTV News.
And a report there by Mahmoud Lamin Choi will lead us to a commercial break, but we will be right back.
For his kitchen, Prosper was thinking big. He therefore chose big new tiles. He then thought he'd also love a new stainless steel sink and a new mixer rack. And now that we're changing the sink, we might as well buy a new kitchen counter, right?
Oh yeah, I couldn't resist.
Good old Prosper.
And yes, that's Batimat's Bati Days. Take advantage of exceptional discounts up to 70% on several products families. From June 11th to 25th, you will be splurging. Batimat, everything for construction, from foundation to finishing.
Have you been looking for the perfect indoor router with long-range Wi-Fi coverage and faster internet speed connecting all your smart devices? Well, we present to you the QCell Indoor Router, a router that has all you need and much more. For just $4,750, you can get 4G plus internet speed, wide coverage, and connect up to 15 devices. That's not all. The indoor router can be used for both office and home needs. So, enhance your internet experience with our indoor router. For more info, call our customer care on 111. QCell, Sunubus, we innovate, others follow.
Thanks for staying with us. Be reminded you're following QTV News and we're broadcasting live from our studios on Caraba Avenue. I am Ansmane Nyase. Now, 30 women journalists on Wednesday began a 2-day training course on empowering women and children through ethical media reporting, organized by the Women Journalists Association of the Gambia, WOJAC. Ajibintu Drama reports.
Journalists when reporting women and children issues, as they are underrepresented and are part of the most vulnerable groups in society. Children and women's rights are often violated in the mainstream media due to the gap of the professional capacity of journalists and knowledge, both of which need to be strengthened. As Tuketa, the Vice President of the Gambia Press Union, implores participants to focus on reporting women and children doing remarkably well, especially in less opportune communities.
Let's look at the life of that woman selling gerte chaff at the corner. How much is that person able to make a living out of the everyday, feeding an entire family from that gerte chaff that the woman is selling? How about the other woman that is at Tanje Fish landing site? Every morning wakes up, going to the fish landing site, having a family to fend for, with all those work that we do. That woman is actually taking part of the development process of the country.
Inasmuch as journalists want to report or have the first scoop to report on such cases, reporting on issues of women and children can be critical. Falu Sow, Executive Director of Network Against Gender-Based Violence, and Jebel Sise, Program Manager at the Gambia Press Union, had this to say.
Having women themselves and then empowering them, giving them the capacity to dominate or at least to take their position in the newsroom will enable them to tell their stories for themselves.
Reporting issues of women and children, one has to be very careful, one has to be very sensitive to the issues, and one has to ensure that they are protected at all times.
The issue of what is locally referred to as the Maslaha syndrome has played a huge role. It stops victims from reporting cases of gender-based violence and other sexual offenses. In addition, social media also contributes to the problem, where victims experience hate speech and bullying. Annette Kamara, the president of the Women's Journalists Association of the Gambia, spoke about the importance of women's representation.
The focus is women reporting on issues that affect women and being able to report on issues that affect children. It is very important that we get to be seen, we get to be known, we get to be heard, we get to be understood, and we get to be respected.
Binta Jammeh and Louis S.A. Taylor are both participants in the training. They explain the significance of this training for their profession.
I think we should now take up the responsibility to start reporting on the winnings of women that are doing very good outside there each and every day.
There's so much stories to tell about women and children, so much to weigh into portraying them as some leaders and portraying them in contribution they're doing towards the development of the country.
The training is funded by the Civil Society in Development, the GPU and Gambia Media Support. The Women's Journalists Association of the Gambia, WOJAC, was established in 2010 by an interim body to support the need and aspirations of women journalists in the Gambia and to safeguard them. It is the first training organized by the present executive after having taken over in February 2022. With this training, it is hoped that the knowledge gained will reflect in the reports published in news outlets. Ajibintu Drame, QTV News.
And from that report there by Ajibintu Drame, next up, here's some international news. The Principal Program Officer and Head of Division, ECOWAS Cross-Border Cooperation, says a lack of funding is a key hindrance to implementing the ECOWAS Cross-Border Cooperation Program, which seeks to reduce poverty and achieve socio-economic development at border areas within the sub-region. A report from Abuja.
The ECOWAS Cross-Border Cooperation Free Movement and Migration Program Fund has been developed by ECOWAS with the aim of strengthening cross-border cooperation in the borders of member countries to bring regional integration process and local population closer together. It is also geared towards demarginalizing border areas, reduce poverty, and to achieve socio-economic development through the creation of concrete and feasible joint development projects that are achievable within short time limits. Speaking during a meeting with the ECOWAS Parliament Joint Committee on Infrastructure, Customs and Free Movement, Kinza Jawaranjai, Principal Program Officer and Head of Division Cross-Border Cooperation, said a series of meetings and exchanges at various levels have taken place since the program was developed. Nonetheless, the lack of funding is hindering the effective implementation of the program, as he calls for support of the ECOWAS parliamentarians who have a major role to play in the implementation. She reveals that the program is an $80 million 5-year program, 2021-2025, spearheaded by the ECOWAS Department of Trade, Customs and Free Movement.
So we are not even asking ECOWAS for an $80 million. We're just asking ECOWAS for 30% of this sum, and get the 70% from donors. We think we should work with donor partners who are ready to support a community development initiative so that we can raise this amount. All we ask for is to get the authorities to be supportive to this kind of programs so that we don't just talk about meetings and conferences and trainings, but we build capacity and we also support concrete development projects at the grassroots level. If you empower us, if you accompany us, if you support us and take this as a serious program, we will get there. We will achieve what we're trying to get for the citizens, and we can visibly show what ECOWAS is doing to reach the benefits of, to reach livelihoods of local communities.
The ECOWAS Cross-Border Cooperation Support Program and its funding mechanism were approved by the ECOWAS Council of Ministers in January 2021. The Joint Committee members were presented with the modalities for the implementation and operational procedures of the programs. Also, the Joint Committee was informed about the composition and role of governance structure and operational procedures at all levels. Members lamented the lack of proper implementation of ECOWAS regulations and programs, which is affecting the impact and visibility of the sub-regional bloc on its citizens. Reporting for QTV News from Abuja, Nigeria, I am Aliu Sise.
Also in international news, ahead of the gathering of Commonwealth country leaders in Kigali, Rwanda, a range of events have already taken place. Here's the first of tonight's report.
Thursday of the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting 2022 in Kigali, Rwanda, began with inspirational speeches and discussions at the First Lady's Unity and Sports Breakfast and the Commonwealth Foreign Affairs Ministers meeting. The People's and Business Forum entered their final day, which included speeches from the UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson, and heads of government gathered with CEOs in a roundtable discussion. Her Royal Highness the Duchess of Cornwall, Her Excellency Jeanette Kagame, First Lady of Rwanda, the Commonwealth Secretary General, and the First Lady of Sierra Leone, Her Excellency Fatima Mada Biu, joined Pamela Sabala, CEO of the No More Foundation, and numerous speakers and attendees to say no to violence against women.
We are gathered here with one purpose: to find solutions. It is surely significant that every single member state has unanimously agreed to support the Commonwealth Says No More campaign and to implement initiatives to prevent domestic violence and sexual abuse. There is power in this alliance.
Recommitment to positive action was the focus of the high-level session of Malaria and the NTD Summit, with His Royal Highness Prince Charles, His Excellency the President of Rwanda Paul Kagame, and Melinda French Gates, who on behalf of the Gates Foundation pledged $140 million over 4 years to support African institutions fighting malaria. The day drew to a close with the Rwandan government's welcome reception.
Now, still in Kigali, Rwanda, Gambia's foreign affairs minister was among those welcomed by the host, Rwanda's President Paul Kagame. Here's a short report about that and one of the many side events.
His foreign affairs minister was among those welcomed by the host, Rwanda's President Paul Kagame. Minister Mamadou Tangara was welcomed to the ongoing Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, chosen by President Kagame and Dame Patricia Scotland, Secretary General of the Commonwealth. In a side event on Tuesday, thousands took to the streets of Kigali for the first night run. There are expected to be similar runs until the summit closes on Saturday, 25th June. Reporting for QTV News, I am Omar P. Jallo.
And I'm afraid that's it for tonight. Do join us tomorrow for more news. Until then, on behalf of the entire production team, thanks for watching.